to the Barbara Crawford Gallery and to our Sam Feinstein Early Year exhibition. My name is Pia Drugan and I'm one of the co-curators.
And I'm Melissa Hames, and I am a parent here at school, and I've been co-curating with Pia for the last 2 years. We've been working on this show, and we're super excited to share it with you. We started with Sam's early life when he emigrated here with his family in 1922. And we followed his career starting then. And we used one of the very first paintings that we have of his called Young Women in Blue. That's the first image. That's the first painting we have. And then on this wall, we have a progression of work that started, again, in the very early 1930s. There's a timeline that runs throughout the gallery, and it shows what was happening in the world and what was happening at our school. And we started that early because that's when Sam started teaching at CHA. On the wall behind me, we have a number of illustrations by Sam and one from Barbara that show the talent that they both had as they studied illustration. Sam graduated from Boys Central High School in 1932, attended what is now called the University of the Arts, which was then called the Pennsylvania Museum School for Industrial Art. And then by the end of the 1930s, in 1938 specifically, Sam was hired to be the art teacher at Chestnut Hill Academy.
In 1938, Sam comes to Chestnut Hill Academy. In 1941, the bombing on Pearl Harbor happens and World War II with the US starts. Sam has to enlist in the Army. So in 1942, he actually marries Barbara Crawford, and she takes over his role at CHA, which she keeps for the next 47 years. This wall is super important to us because academically, we cover this curriculum at school, and the children can see the beautiful illustrations that Sam created. Sam did not want to join the Army and fight, so he actually got himself enrolled in the pictorial side of the military service. We also have this exquisite little artifact, our campus lantern, May 15, 1942, where you see CHA boys painting a mural of the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor.
Once we get into the late 1940s, early 1950s, we can really see how Sam and Barbara move from representative illustrative work into geometry and cubism, and really taking those pieces of the subject and turning them and changing them and moving towards abstraction.
Sam meets Hans Hoffman, the well-known master art teacher of abstract expressionism. He had just recently come from Paris, where he had worked with Picasso and Matisse. It was during these years that the two became friends and painted together. Sam started by taking classes with Hoffman. Hoffman had a very thick German accent, and it was Sam that could unpack what the master was saying. Actually, Sam, who had worked with filmmaking before with One World or None and a professor of his, Watkins, made a movie of Hans Hoffman teaching Hans Hoffman's philosophy, and the master was painting the window. This is Sam's representation in the mid-1950s, early 1950s, of a very similar painting to Hans Hoffman's window.
These two prints behind me are called Black Walnuts, and the top one is by Sam, and it's one of the prints is held in the permanent collection of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. It's a classic block print, carved out of wood and paper laid over and a roller pushed over with ink. So super classic. Everyone does these when they start out in art school, and this one, like I said in particular, is owned by the museum. The one below it was found about a year ago as we went through Barbara Crawford's paintings and artwork that has been here since she started here in the 1940s. Her collection of work, which she was very prolific by the way, her collection of work is kept at the school. I was going through prints and found walnuts dedicated to her. The writing in walnuts is done with ink and graphite, and he also used stamps and then embellished the stamps. And I love that he used it as a Valentine's gift to Barbara. And it says, "Darling, I am nuts about you. Walnut, you be my Valentine." The painting behind me is called The Rising, and it's important for the show for a number of reasons. 2 years ago, when Patricia Stark Feinstein, the curator of the Sam Feinstein Trust, Pat called us and she invited us to New York to look at Sam's work with the idea of gifting our school with some of his work. We didn't know anything about Sam at that point, so she really was generous with her time and knowledge and taught us about Sam. This particular painting was at the point in his career where we figured out how to coordinate a show with the Woodmere. We went to New York with Bill Valerio and we looked at all of these paintings together, and we decided that we, at the Barbara Crawford Gallery and at Springside Chestnut Hill Academy, would start with his early career from when he came to America in 1922 to when he started painting in this immersive abstraction style. This is the jumping off point. The Woodmere Museum has a show that's called Group 55 and Mid-Century Abstraction in Philadelphia. Then they have a Sam Feinstein show called Immersive Abstraction. So this is really the point where we move over to the work at the Woodmere.
We hope that you can come and visit us at Springside Chestnut Hill Academy in our Barbara Crawford Gallery. The exhibit has something for everyone, young and old alike.
We're really excited to show this exhibition of abstract expressionism to the wider Philadelphia community as well as to our own local community here in our neighborhood of Chestnut Hill.